Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin, and this is my first time I'm using my new microphone because I listened to my last few podcasts before I went to India and smacked my head if it didn't sound like I was recording from inside of a tin can. So I don't know what happened to my last microphone, but it definitely does not um, represent the quality that I want to put out. So, got a new microphone, tested it out. It's definitely sounding better. So, hopefully, it will translate to a better listening experience for you. And I am back from India, and oh, yeah, India kicked my butt a little bit. This last time I was humbled. I had some health issues going on, some hormonal fluctuations, and then at the very end, India was like, "All right, here you go. Here's a cold or flu, or I'm not sure what it was. It wasn't COVID, but it was something. And it knocked me on my butt for a couple of days. I still feel kind of weak and tired, but I'm just keeping my routines and I'm using my 1 through 10 compassion measurement scale that also helps me to be realistic with I'm not going to expect myself to be a 10 when I'm actually like a 3. Today I'm like a 5, which is better than yesterday, which was a 4, which was better than the day before that, which was a 3. So bit by bit. And yeah, so India was, besides that, India was magical, amazing. I got to see my guru. I got my official blue belt in Kalaripayattu. And not sure if I mentioned it here, but I got my second degree black belt. I was awarded it by Kevin Berkowitz of Kaizen Dojo Martial Arts. And he's like probably the only person that I would accept that from because I just admire him so much. He's actually been on my podcast, not this one, but I had a radio show, for those of you who don't know, called Inspired Journeys. And I talked about different yamas and niyamas, and he came on for tapas, which is discipline. So we had a really great interview, and I think that's still available on iTunes if you're curious about it, possibly on Spotify. Anywho, here I am, and I am continuing my exploration of the chakras. And, I thought about like literally a couple of minutes ago, I'm like, what would have been really cool is if I dressed up like the colors of each of the chakras. And I thought, oh man, and I don't have any green with me whatsoever. So I am Irish, so I don't know if that counts for something, but I know a lot about them. So even though I'm not wearing green, hopefully I will still have credibility with you. So, if you haven't listened to the other three podcasts on chakras, and by the way, apologize for the sounding in a tin can. The content's good, and I'm probably just being a little bit too picky. But if you have an ear like I do, you'll be like, "Ooh." But it's good content, and maybe I'll re-record them at some point. But for right now, I'm going to talk about the fourth chakra. So the fourth chakra connects the above to the below in the seven chakra system. It is called Anahata, and the color is green. So, Anahata, when we're misaligned with that chakra or it's not fully open, we have trouble receiving love, not just from other people, but from ourselves. Like we have trouble being compassionate to ourselves. We also have trouble connecting the above to the below, which is important. Now, in some yogic thought, they say that the first three chakras are all about like the primitive body, right? It's sort of like the survival instincts, the sex organs, the digestive part. But, you need all those to live as a human being, unless you're floating and levitating in some cosmic land, which sounds lovely for any sadhus who are there. Probably not listening to my podcast, though I would certainly be honored. But if you don't have an open heart chakra, like the lubrication between these aspects of yourself is blocked. And if so, if you have a resistance there, If you have like pain and trauma that does not allow you to drop into your body, a lot of times you get stuck, not even here, you'll get stuck up a little bit higher. But in my explorations with doing somatic therapies with people and, coaching and getting people out of their heads and dropping into their body, if their heart chakra is blocked, it's almost like it repels. Like, so I'll try to drop them into their heart, and it's like, I don't know if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, but there's like guards out in front. Like, it's just like you can't get in. So then it's like, well, how do we get in? Well, for most people, the reason why that's there is because they've had some kind of trauma. And so what you need with trauma is safety. So if you don't have safety within because you've adopted a critical dialogue, either from a parent or caretaker, or maybe it's even in your epigenetics, then you're going to have a hard time dropping into a heart-centered space. Now, the feminine definition of the second Yoga Sutra, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, is joining of consciousness in the heart space so you can abide in joy. So the Anahata chakra is very, very important. And there's some people that will actually work with this chakra exclusively, which there's pros and cons, and you can do whatever, just this sort of spiritual healing. I think it's customized per person. I would recommend at least rooting into the Muladhara chakra so that you don't open up your heart and then just repel back up into your head. You need to have some sort of grounding, some sort of rooting. I have found that the most powerful chakra experiences I have had are kind of going through the rainbow system, starting with red and then going up towards white Sahasrara. So the Anahata chakra is the seat of unconditional love. There's a Sanskrit word that means spiritual heart. It's hridaya, hridaya. There's a Greek word that's called agape, agape. It's this unconditional spiritual love that no matter what, love is always in the room. Now, this is something that I didn't grow up with necessarily. It's something my parents didn't have. I can tell you that my dad has definitely developed agape, a sort of spiritual love. I have definitely developed agape, like the love that I have for people, they can feel it. I think that's why they like to go on retreats with me and they like to do trainings, is because when you abide in this true nature, this space of joy and love and hridaya, is that you can start to see things from that perspective because you've kept it clean in that way. When you're able to see people from that space of love and connection and presence, it does something to them. It's powerful. And that's one of the things I offer as a teacher and a mentor or a guru. I don't call myself that, but some people call me that, is that I abide in that space. Not all the time. I have my own critical thoughts and whatnot, but I do a lot of emotional, mental hygiene, psychic hygiene too, so that I can sort of scrub it clean and then I can like come back to that space because I know what it feels like in a very deep way because I've spent some time there. It's like, touring in Japan. I used to live there. I know a thing or two about Osaka. I know the subways. I know the stops. I know kind of like how things work. That's why I'm leading a retreat there in November, which by the way, we have two spots that opened up. If you're interested, November 5th through the 17th, come join us. We're going to study some Japanese together. We're going to eat Japanese food. We're going to immerse in the culture. It's a great adventure. Yoga is a side dish, but like if you go on a retreat with me, we're going to do at least some yoga. But we're definitely going to do some martial arts and embrace the culture. So if you're interested, please let me know. So, I could talk about Japan, but if I've never lived there, if I've never spent quality time there, I'm not going to understand the culture. I'm not going to understand the language, the nuances, the quirks. And so, like with unconditional love, if you've never experienced it, like how can you speak on it? It's like trying to describe or teach yoga and not really having ever done it. People are going to be able to tell, I would think, unless they've absolutely never done yoga, and then they're like, what was that? So, um, having a connection to your heart and like doing the work to keep it open is some of the most worthwhile work that you can do. Life gets a lot lighter and there's a guidance that starts to happen because after we work with the Anahata chakra, the upper chakras, you start to get into like celestial realm. And I guess maybe when the yogis talk about like the primal chakras and like the celestial chakras, like the ones that connect us to sort of higher source, like neither is more important than the other. Like they all are important because like if your digestive system isn't working and you're trying to like talk to God, I mean, I you can, it's great, but like your body feels like shit and like you can't live in this life and you can't even like digest the information that is given to you. So then like people get that sort of 50-yard stare. I call it crystal shop people. Which by the way, if you like crystals, so do I, but you know what I'm talking about. It's that sort of like glazy eye, like they're not quite stoned, but they're like not really in this realm. And whatever realm they're in is they're not able to ground into this reality. So they kind of seem like a weirdo and maybe creepy. We don't want to be like that. So you have to take care of your bottom chakras. You have to take care of your body. It's like this path of self observation, swadhyaya. Like there's a lot to it. So the Anahata chakra it's important to keep it clean so that you can see people from that space. You can speak from that space. And you have this sort of resonance within you, this certain vibration, and you're able to connect with people on a heart level rather than just logically. You can connect with people logically, and maybe let's say like you go on a first date with someone and you're like, very stimulating, interesting conversation. But there's like not like a soulfulness to it. There's not like depth to it. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of like I get like a bit bored. So for any of my spiritual seekers, and maybe you've been on a date like this, you're kind of like, yeah, time to go. Um, Taking efforts to know your heart is important, but there's blockages that can happen here. And sometimes initially connecting with this area, there can be pain, right? There can be pain, there can be grief, there can be sadness. And I think that's why a lot of times people like kind of check out from this because they associate it with all this pain. But it's like, it is so worth it because once you get through maybe some of the layers initially and you're able to tap into that like sweet, loving presence, there's nothing like it. Like there's money can't buy that connection. Money can't buy that feeling. And sometimes people use like hallucinogenics, drugs and stuff like that, which, I'm not necessarily against. I've partaken as well, but like there needs and you could touch it with those things like it can show you it's possible, but you need to do regular work to keep it open. Like just like a relationship, you need to have regular communication. You can't be like, okay, we talked about this issue. Check, like moving on. Like we don't need to have difficult conversations again. No, it's like going to the gym, hiring a personal trainer, having one session, getting your ass handed to you, and like, all right, that's great. Now I'm fit. No, it's just unrealistic. One piano lesson, diet for a day. I can give you plenty of examples. You know what I'm saying? So there's no shortcuts. You need to do the work. Now, can we make it easier on ourselves? Sure. How? Compassion, um, showing up with discipline, but also sweetness. Like, you know, being giving ourselves grace, but not coddling. So, for example, I'm super tired, but like I'm here recording this podcast because like I'm committed to it. It's part of my like regular practice, and I miss sometimes, but like 95 or more percent of the time I show up for this, which is a pretty good ratio. Now, if I were coddling myself, I would say, "Oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing this, so I'm not going to do it." And then it wouldn't get done. And then I don't know. I hate it when on iTunes, if I am like a day late recording, posting my podcast, it'll say that I only release every other week or something. And I'm like, hey, that's not true. That was only this week. And then I'll release next week, and then they'll say it's a weekly podcast. I'm like, that's right. And there was a time where I was posting twice a week, which maybe I'll get back to that. But showing up, consistent work, and like being compassionate. Even in the, if you've ever seen the image of the Shiva Nataraj, where Shiva is, you can't see the lower half of my body, but you see his hands like this and the Abhaya Mudra, and then you see the arm across the heart, and then he's pointing down, and his left leg is up. And there's a lot of iconography in that symbol, if you've ever seen it. And it's like, no fear. If your heart's closed, don't worry. Keep your ego in check. Hence, he has one foot on some people say it looks like a baby or a demon. I just say it's the ego. And there is a leg that's up, which is the leg of grace. And he's giving a clue like, okay, no fear. If your heart's closed, keep your ego in check and remember that to give yourself grace in that sort of dance of life. When you do that, you can come back to yourself over and over again, because the truth is things contract and expand just like your beating heart, just contracting and expanding. And, you do that too. So knowing that that's the case, be compassionate. Try being sweet. That 1 through 10 scale is a way that I can be compassionate for myself. Um, Another thing is like, checking in with how I'm feeling every day, like taking a few deep breaths and like, I feel sad, I feel scared. Okay, what do I need? What are my needs, emotional needs? And sometimes it's physical. I'm like, I am really tired and I need a nap. Okay, that's cool. What else might I need? I need to journal out. I need to call a friend. Like, I need to be social. I need to direct my mind. I've been reading a lot more at night lately. Just Yoga Sutras is always an easy one for me. I've been reading this book called Clarity, Creative Expression, and 7 Principles of a Healthy Marriage. So I've been reading these different books at night to direct my eyes, direct my mind, because that's what I need. I need like an activity. So sometimes you'll need physical activity, sometimes you'll need emotional stimulation. Um, but if you check in with yourself, like that's how you learn, that's how you know, because otherwise you're just guessing. And then if we don't know, we just have a vague, uncomfortable feeling, then we're going to wind up numbing out, whether it be video games or social medias or alcohol or food or codependency or fill in the blank. So Anahata, if it's blocked, you're going to have trouble receiving and giving love from a sincere space. So we're getting into the upper chakras, and next episode, I'm going to be talking about the throat chakra. So I hope that you're enjoying the series. I hope that this podcast sounds a lot better than the other ones. And, maybe if I'm feeling and I remember, I'll wear bright blue for the next podcast episode. So, anyways, I hope that you enjoy your day, your evening. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.